Hello, everyone. So in this motorsports episode for ZEV-Centric, Steven is going to take us to the track. He was at a Tesla Course event, and over there, he was kind enough to kind of review some of the safety things that we want you to look over, you know, some of the basics that we've already shot a video on, things you should inspect before you go to the track and while you're on the track. He's also going to go over some of the things that people may not realize happens with a car like this that's so heavily dependent on software. So it's not like a traditional ICE car or a gas-powered vehicle where you can just run endless laps and you look at your oil temps or whatever it might be. There are other things with this car that will limit your power, and Steven's going to review some of that while he was at the track. And then after that, you're gonna join us back here, and we're gonna go over some of the devices that the more serious guy can invest in to really see how he can better improve his lap time. So check it out.
Hey everybody, we're out here at Tesla Corsa at Buttonwillow, California, and just wanted to go over a couple things that you guys should be doing before you head out on track. You know, these are safety related items. We don't want wheels falling off. We don't want your brakes to overheat. We want you to be as safe as possible out there. So, you know, one of the first thing you should be doing out here, check your lug nuts. Teslas are notorious for their lug nuts coming loose, especially on factory wheels. So bring a torque wrench, torque your lugs to 129 foot-pounds. That's what the spec is. Additionally, on the wheels, make sure you pull off your hubcaps, your aero covers, anything that can come off out on track should come off before you get out there. That way it doesn't end up in someone's window or hitting anybody. Check your brake pads, make sure your brake pads have sufficient life. Check your brake fluid, make sure your reservoir is full. And then if you have just, charged your car before coming out on track, the battery's gonna be really hot. You're gonna wanna cool it down before getting out there to have maximum power. So what you wanna do after you've charged is put the car into track mode if you have it. That will start the cooling process and cool down the battery before you go out on track so you can get out there and have the most power that is possible. Make sure you have good tire tread wear. Your tread life is good. Make sure they're not... Oh, we just had someone spin. Check that out. See? Check your tires and brakes, everybody. You don't want to be that guy. So something else I wanted to point out. If you guys do have aftermarket pads and fluid in the car will throw you a warning about overheated brakes when likely they are not overheated. It's just using an algorithm. After hitting the brakes a certain amount of time, it thinks the brakes are going to be overheated with a stock pad. If you're not on stock pads anymore, likely it's fine. If you are on stock pads, you should probably pay attention to the warning and maybe slow down, let the car cool down before you keep sending it out there on track. Just something to keep in mind. The warning is not a real temperature. It's just a program thinking that the brakes are hot. I think that about covers it, for safety related items.
Well, thanks, Steven, for sharing that information for us when you went to the track. I think what I'd like to really share with people is something we haven't touched upon before, which is kind of your journey on what were some of the turning points for how you were able to get faster. I know we have a lot of clients that just kind of go out and wing it and just go lap after lap, and they're running a fast lap, then a slow lap, and it's just not getting consistently and progressively better. Mm-hmm. So if we can talk about some of those things, I know that probably one of your starting points was, we have track mode on our cars. So that's kind of a freebie if you have a Performance Model 3 or now a Performance Model Y. But I know you were mentioning to me that that's a little bit cumbersome.
Yeah.
And there are other devices that kind of make things a little bit more user-friendly.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you don't mind, share with us kind of the track mode thing.
Yeah, so track mode, it's an easy way to be able to track lap times. You can start and stop the lap timer on the screen itself, which is handy. Beyond that, it does save a telemetry file in your USB thumbstick, the same one that you would have your sensor mode files on.
But you do have to create a separate folder or something like that?
That is still kind of unknown. We have had some people have issues
with
it not saving for whatever reason. The car is supposed to create the file on its own.
Oh, it is.
So
So you may want to test it out before you go to the track and just maybe make sure.
maybe test it on the street, make sure it's working before you
Right.
go out to the track, and make sure, just make sure the file is there if you want it. The video files are not very good. If you really want to look at good video of yourself driving, you should probably invest in something like a GoPro or a Insta360 camera or something like that.
We'll even talk about another device that does have a pretty decent camera,
Yeah.
but it also has some other features to it that are great.
Yeah, and so the track mode, it works. It's not exactly user-friendly for analyzing data after the fact. It does give you a lot of cool information if you're savvy in that stuff, but there's only basically one software out there that can read it, and that's called Track Attack, and you have to use a PC or a Mac for that. You can't do it on your phone. So it's not easy.
And what does this file look like? It's just a matrix, right? It's a
It's
table.
just a giant table of...
It's a CSV file?
It's a CSV file.
Okay, perfect. So it's a CSV file. So it's got a lot of numerical data in it.
Yeah, basically it has columns for your speed, wheel rate, brake pressure, power output, all that kind of stuff. But it actually doesn't have very good speed in it, which is one of the most useful items you can have for looking at your lap times, is accurate speed, and the speed isn't very accurate in that file. So
Oh, I see.
that bit of data isn't very useful in the track mode file.
But if you're only looking at your speed traces within that file, is it inaccurate?
It's not accurate.
From lap to lap is what you're saying.
Well, lap to out, it doesn't give you, it rounds up. It doesn't give you decimal places in speed like a GPS device will have.
But let's just say that it's...
And it can be very notchy. So you can see jumps in 60 to 65 miles per hour. It's not...
Okay.
If you're trying to really look at it, it's not...
So even if you were to take that and put that into that other program and to convert that...
You can smooth it out in
tabular
software.
data, into graphical data, that's what you would need that software for,
Yeah.
right? Is so that you can actually
you do have to have some sort of software to read the file. I mean, or just any software that can plot.
So the biggest benefit of track mode is the lap timer, basically, or maybe is there...
If you're just someone going to the track for the first time, it's just the lap timer is the only benefit, really.
And none of the other values, aside from speed traces, but the other things that it'll pull from the
If you want to dive more into
canvas, does it
you
give
can
you
get
temperatures and stuff like that at all?
Does not do temperature,
Oh,
but you can see power output. So you can see how your power is degraded over time, over the laps.
Okay.
So it's useful for that.
but you had mentioned that other phone app that you use in your car that you plug into your
Right, Scan My Tesla is what I use.
Scan My Tesla, and that gives you all of that
It gives
data
you everything.
anyways.
Yes, but it's not synced with any sort of lap timer, so it's
I see
also
what
cumbersome.
you're saying. Okay. So then,
But a lot of that stuff isn't relevant for people that are just starting out anyway. If I was to do it all over again, the first thing I would do would be go and buy a race box, which is, a $200 to $300 device, very accurate GPS, gives you accurate speed, and there's a handy little phone app that you can compare to other people. And
so the user interface is just awesome.
Yeah,
It's very user friendly.
And it's cheap. To start and stop it is 2 button clicks. A lot of other devices out there take several, through the menus to get started. And when you're going out on track for the first time, it's not something you want to have to worry about. Like, you just want to start something and be done with it.
And then I know you had kind of experimented with and by the way, that race box, we'll put a link below. It is available on Amazon. It's not something that's directly available through us, but we will share that with you guys. I know you tried some other stuff, like we've got seasoned buddies and racers that run on AIM Solo products, which we can get, but I don't know if they've updated that at all now to give you like a nice user interface on a phone or anything, but to my knowledge, you've got to download.
Yeah.
So you can't see it in real time. So
yeah, the AIM, as far as I know, the AIM, or from what I used, is still, it's a little bit cumbersome to use. It's not as easy as the race box. One of the easiest things you do is, if you have the budget, the Garmin Catalyst is a pretty good option. There isn't a lot of ability to export beyond the Catalyst ecosystem, but internally on the device, it's a great, you go out there, record, it records the video,
It has a pretty great camera.
Yeah, it records everything on the device, so there's no exporting or anything like that. You can upload it to the cloud after the fact and look at it.
Yep, you can upload it to the cloud. You can download it onto a micro SD, I believe.
Yeah. As far as I know, there is still no really ability to export it to other software.
Right.
Which,
It's been a little bit since we've spoken to them, but I know that there's been a lot of people in the community that have been kind of knocking on
I think that's
Garmin's
kind of a
door.
very niche thing anyway. Most people just want to use the device and that's it. Because you can go out onto the track, review your data right there immediately. You don't have to get onto a laptop or anything.
And it is kind of like a personal instructor. I think.
Yeah, it does like kind of tell you.
Speed up.
Yeah.
Brake fast. It does like all these.
It only learns when you experiment though. Like, so you have to actually push your envelope and it needs to recognize that you went faster for it to know that you can go faster.
And I think that was the one thing that when we started to play with it, a couple years ago, during COVID really, and we do have that product on our website, so we will link that below too, is that it's only going to be able to share information on your laps. It's not going to basically collect data from the fastest guy who ran that track and then tell you like, hey, you're this much slower than that guy. This is what you need to do to be as fast as that guy. So
yeah, the best thing anyone could do if they have the ability is to have someone that is really fast drive their car
with the Catalyst,
with a device in it, recording. Then you can compare directly what you're doing versus that person that is really fast.
That your exact same vehicle, same tires, brake. I mean,
because even the same vehicle can be different, different tires. There's so many setup differences.
Yeah, so I would never want to truly compare because you may get yourself into some trouble.
Yeah, I mean, the best thing you can do is just have a coach. Like, that is the absolute best thing.
Yeah, and I think the Catalyst was neat because during COVID, you couldn't really do that. So this was like a digital personal instructor in there.
My problem with the Catalyst was, for one, it's with the Tesla, the way I was driving it was 1 to 2 laps at a time. It didn't have the ability to really gather enough data to even assist me. Now with the power limiting device with the Tesla, I think it would be useful.
I agree.
Because now I can really learn from doing like 8, 9 laps. But when we were doing 2 laps at a time, it has nothing to learn from.
And there were times where, so the Catalyst wouldn't even pick up. It wouldn't even begin until you loaded like 1 full lap into it.
Yeah.
And so that was a problem.
Yeah. It also was a time during my driving that I was improving a lot every time I went. So it only learns from improvement. If I'm going faster every time, it has nothing to tell me.
Yep. So, we did. The Catalyst is a really cool device in the sense that if you're a newer person and you want essentially like a tablet type of a device.
I mean, I even see like the pro race guys using them. I mean, if you can run consistently for a lot of laps, I think it's very useful for that. Because then it can start to learn and tell you where you're faster and slower. If you're only going out there and doing a couple laps at a time, it's not super useful.
It's not going to be as beneficial, other than the camera.
The camera is
pretty cool.
And just being able to look at your laps immediately is nice. Not having to go extract GoPro footage.
Exactly.
And merge it all together on a PC, which is what I do just because I like doing that.
I mean, it shows though, because you do that, I think it's really also helped you.
It does help you to look at your data after
totally
the fact.
Geek out, you and all the other boys, they don't, data analysts sometimes.
There's lots of guys that are out there fast that don't look at anything too, though. So.
And, there are guys that are just extremely, extremely naturally talented. So that's the Catalyst. So moving on, I mean, I think the product that's helped you the most, you kind of mentioned briefly, but is that the race box?
The race box has definitely helped me a lot. Combined, later once I got the race box, I actually combined the data from track mode in the car so I could see accurate GPS and all the telemetry from the car at the same time overlaid on a video. Then I could really start to see what was going on. Because there was a point where I kind of plateaued. Buttonwillow was my track that I went to the most. Basically got down to that 158 type of area and was never really improving a lot. And a lot of it had to do with, me not setting up the car properly, like getting it to its optimal temperature for the battery, making sure I was at the right state of charge. The tire itself, also a big change for me too was going to a wider wheel. And kind of all those things I feel like culminated at the same time, where I was like, okay, I got my battery pack at the perfect, 100% state of charge. It's at the right temperature. It's nice and cool. I got the wider wheels on the car now, so it's very responsive. I can feel everything it's doing. And then doing everything on the first flying lap too. That was really important to get a really fast lap time, because I had the most power during that. Because there is a point where if you are reaching the limit of the car, no matter what you do, unless you really mess up on that first lap, every consecutive lap will be slower. Even if you're not hitting a power limit, power is dropping just because of the voltage.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think you made some really good points there, things that you would kind of briefly touch upon at the track in this video earlier.
And the tire is a big factor too. One of the problems with trying to get that absolute fastest lap is getting the tire up to temperature for the first lap.
But the problem is that you can't do a lot of warm-up laps, because then you kill your power. So
Exactly.
It's like, that's the hard part, and that is really what I think we all wanted to share with you guys, is that it's not as easy as you would expect in like an ICE car, for example. There's a lot of little things that it took these guys a bit of time to kind of figure out.
Yeah.
That we're hoping we can kind of expedite that learning curve for you guys. Just things to think about, or just to look at. We can't give you guys all the answers, but all we can do is just tell you guys, hey, these are some things to take into consideration, so you don't like pull your hair out wondering like what's going on, or get frustrated with the car because like your drive units get red, or your battery pack gets red, and you're like, oh my gosh, I hate my car. No, well, just you got to work within some of these constraints and understand them, and I think that's what also makes it challenging.
Yeah.
So
that's where I think that one of the coolest things that we have available now is the Mountain Pass cooling party box to limit power. Like,
the cooling party controller, the CPC.
That is pretty awesome to be able to you just kill the power by 100 horsepower or so, and the car can do a whole 15-minute session.
That's going to be the biggest game changer.
It is you can definitely feel the power loss on track, but it's still very fast. I was still able to do a sub 2 at Button Willow with the car like that, but do sub 2 for 10 laps.
That's amazing, dude. That's sick.
That's awesome.
That is so sick.
If your tire holds up, which is also a challenge.
Yeah, but it'd be neat to put a more endurance type of a tire, maybe like maybe, I don't know, V730 or RS4 or something, and see if you can pull that off. I mean, I still have my RS4.
But yeah, the RS4 was always not a great tire on the Tesla, because it seemed to always last longer than its heat cycle. So you didn't really get the use out of the tire.
I think we should try that.
But running it like that, it might actually be useful.
I still got mine. We should do that. We should run the CPC, power limited, put the RS4s on it, and see what you can do. See if that tire holds up. Yeah. That'd be neat. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of it. You can show the guys kind of on the phone app now, just kind of what that user interface kind of looks like. So, Stephen will share that with you guys. But yeah, we hope that this was kind of educational and informative for you guys. If you have any other questions, just reach out to us. We'll do our best to answer them. We do get pretty heavily bombarded. Stephen's gotten really busy with some development stuff that he's doing. But if you guys need any advice, we'll do our best to help you guys. If you guys are interested in any of the products, whatever products we can get for you, we will share in the description below. We do have all the HJC helmets on the website. We'll be continuing to add more safety gear on the website to our track categories as well. Again, Stephen runs on the Aspira Forge AF10 wheel. We've been working with Falcon tires this whole season, so that's been really great. This is definitely a good time attack tire, and yeah, it's been great so far. So thanks, Stephen, for sharing all your wealth of information with us, and I look forward to seeing what the user interface app can do on the
Racebox. All right, so just wanted to show you guys some of the Racebox software on the phone. Just launched it here, and right away you can see all the sessions that I've had at different racetracks. We got Streets of Willow, Button Willow, Thunder Hill. These are all things I've recorded on the Racebox device. You can see that on the bottom here we have you can do drag sessions, track. So these are, all the tracks are loaded into the Racebox, and then you have your devices here. This is where you connect to the device and download all the sessions, and you can manage the tracks that are on the device there as well. This is just all your other settings, account settings. The cool thing about the Racebox also is once you've loaded everything onto your phone, it will automatically go to your cloud account, and you can also download these files to import into more advanced software like Track Attack or Circuit Tools from VBox, various other softwares that can input the VBO file that you can export. But I just wanted to show you guys a little bit what you can do to start analyzing your laps and kind of figuring out, where to improve. We'll go into this. This is a Model 3 challenge here that I have, a 9-lap session that we did. You can see the date, time at the top, the track, and the configuration, how long, how many laps. We were in my Tesla Model 3 Performance. You have your best lap. You have your theoretical best, so that takes into account all the best sectors that you did throughout all the laps. And if you were able to accomplish all those best sections, that's what that lap would be. So we were pretty close to our theoretical best. A half a second improvement that I could potentially get if I were to do everything perfect. You have your max and min speed there. You have your max cornering and acceleration G's here at the top. And then down below we have all of our lap times. And then we can start to dive into that we can select our fastest lap here, which is in green. And then we have the track map brought up here. You can move it around, you can zoom in, and you can see exactly where you were driving on the course. You can see these lines that go away from the solid line. That is the G-forces that the car is experiencing as you come into the corners. So it's just another way of visualizing how many G's the car is under. And then down below here, we can move our car, which is the dotted line, throughout the track and see how fast we're going in each section. And we can pay attention to the speed and see exactly where we begin to brake. We can pick up our braking points just by looking at that. And you can see the faded lines behind the graph is our cornering G's and acceleration G's. So we have green is acceleration and deceleration, so braking and acceleration. So where it spikes, that is a braking zone right there. And that corresponds with our dramatic speed reduction there. And then after the corner, we can see just a little bit of acceleration. We were running low power mode, so the car is not accelerating very quickly. And you can also see your peak cornering G's. It's a good way to make sure you're utilizing all your tire grip, consistently. So we can go through all the corners and see how consistent that I am with cornering G's. Looks like we are consistently around the 1.15, 1.2 area. And then you can go into your summary page here and it gives you all your max and mins for that session. And then if you want to compare to a previous lap, you can take my best lap is on the left, and we can pick maybe another lap that we thought was pretty good, which it's choosing this one for us. So we can just keep it on that one. Oh, let's go back there. Compare. And now we are comparing. At the top here you see 122.76, and we're comparing it to our 122.94 lap. And we can start to really compare how fast we're going in certain sections. You can see here at the beginning, I held on to the throttle a little bit longer. And then you could see that I was going faster, but did that actually mean that I went faster for time? And we can move over to the time difference here. You can see that I gained time a lot in the braking zone, but that doesn't necessarily mean I actually gained time throughout the whole track, because I immediately lost it. So that means I probably sent in there a little too hard and ended up breaking even to my best lap anyway. So it was basically a net zero gain. We can kind of, when we're going through our time difference line, we can just look and see I was very consistent, and look for the areas where we're maybe not consistent, and maybe that's an area we can improve on. You can see through here on this S corner, we lost a little bit of time. But this is just how you can start really drilling down and looking where you can improve. Hope that helps you guys out.
Thanks, guys. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and share. We'll see you on the next one.